Why are gamers upset with Assassin's Creed Shadows? Well, it's simple. They're racist. I'm kidding. That's just one reason. No, but for real, there are many reasons why gamers are upset with Assassin's Creed Shadows. Let's hear Actman's take on it.
What's up, everybody? This is the Samurai Man here. And
More accurate samurai portrayal than Yasuke. I'm kidding. Relax. It's just a joke.
today, Ubisoft recently announced their newest Assassin's Creed game. Shadows the Hedgehog.
Bro, I wish.
Nothing personnel, kid.
I was a massive Shadow fan in Sonic Adventure 2. I was an edgy little fella.
Can you believe it? This series is finally going to Japan, a setting fans have been asking to go to for years.
Yeah, very true. I remember from the first Assassin's Creed, me and my homie, we were like praying, please go to Japan, please. You're a stealthy assassin. Japan has ninjas.
The reaction has been entirely pleasant, unanimous praise. In fact, there is so little controversy to talk about that this is the end of the video.
So true.
Thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Leave a like if you did, and subscribe to the Samurai Man for more awesome content.
The most disliked trailer in
Was
the
our buddy Synthetic Man shown there?
series history.
This hate that he's getting does not make any sense.
Yeah, Ubisoft is definitely rattling the cage with this one. It's not.
For the record, full disclosure, I'm not 100% on board with this. I am upset. I'm mad at Ubisoft. But I'm just perpetually mad at Ubisoft, to be honest with you.
Just Assassin's Creed Shadows, though. If you look at Ubisoft's channel, every video they're posting is getting mass disliked. Twitter has
Kind of funny.
been going off, and the Wikipedia page for
Normally, I'm against mass disliking a channel's videos because you disagreed with them once. But since it's Ubisoft, we'll let it slide. Handshake.
the protagonist Yasuke is a fucking war zone right now. There's a
Yeah,
lot of-
dude, they're still doing that. I remember on the first video I made, I'm like, guys, I tried to look into Yasuke. I tried to see if he's a real samurai, quote unquote. But literally, like non-stop edits on his page, you can't learn anything from there. You don't know who's lying, who's telling the truth. They're literally just having a war, or they were. And according to Actman, they still are, which is crazy to me, but hey.
lot of heated debate around Assassin's Creed Shadows right now, which is weird because the trailer itself looks pretty damn good visually. So something else must be going on. Something else is happening. And today, we're going to take a more nuanced
What could it
approach
be?
to honestly answer the question, why are gamers upset with Assassin's Creed Shadows? Is everyone complaining about this game just gearing up for the next clan meeting? Probably not, but I am. See, there's a lot more to it than just
I'm gonna need to start doing that. I gotta put the siren with "this is a joke."
Black Samurai, you know? People are right to be skeptical of anything Ubisoft puts out these days. And that's reason number one.
Yeah, and I think that's a big part of it. I wrote up here, fellas, is it racist to be... I misspelled unamused. Fellas, is it racist to be amused by Ubisoft pandering? Because that's what this is. I consider this pandering with all due respect. Ubisoft has a history of, questionable practices. For example, in Odyssey, it was originally just supposed to be a female main character. And they were like, hey man, this isn't going to sell. We need a man. So now there's a man in Odyssey as well. And, they're both from where Odyssey takes place. Now in Shadows, we have a black main character. Why is that, Ubisoft? Are you pandering? I personally think they are. Now, some people hate that they did this just because Yasuke is black. Like, they're racist. And that's why they're upset. But me, I'm upset because I view this as blatant pandering from Ubisoft. And is it the end of the world? No. But I'm just calling it like it is. I am skeptical of Ubisoft, by default. And them doing this makes me even more skeptical of them. I think they're trying to stoke the flames, engage in culture war shenanigans. And is it stupid that there's even a culture war going on surrounding things like this? Yeah, sure. But at the end of the day, pretty much every Assassin's Creed, the main character is someone from that location. And yes, I know the girl is there. I think her name's Naoe. I get it. But you look at Odyssey, they were both from the same location. So I don't know, man. It's a little weird to me. With all due respect, you can feel free to disagree. Once again, it's not the end of the world, but it is weird. And I do think Ubisoft was very intentional with their choice here. I don't think it was entirely just to, get an outsider's perspective of Japan. I think that was their reasoning behind it. I don't think that's truly what it was all about. This is Ubisoft we're talking about. And like, just for the record, because I know there's going to be some insane people in the comments screeching at the top of their lungs calling me racist. In Guilty Gear Strive, I main 2 characters. One was Giovanna, she's goated, love her. And the second was Nagoriyuki. Do you know who that is? Let me show you. And it is this guy right here, Nagoriyuki from Guilty Gear Strive, is a black samurai inspired by, you guessed it, Yasuke. And he was cool, he was awesome. I liked him, I vibed with him. So that's not the problem. The problem is Ubisoft changing course from the usual Assassin's Creed formula to do something a little odd, in my opinion. If this was, say, an African Assassin's Creed, they're not having a white dude. They're not having an Asian dude. They're going to have a black guy. You know it. I know it. In this one instance, it's weird. Like I said, you can feel free to disagree. That's just my opinion. We'll agree to disagree on it. Handshakes all around. If you're down to still give me a handshake. But hey, there's much more to complain about that's honestly far worse than just this. The typical Ubisoft scumbaggery. But I just want to get that out there, clear the air, so we're all on the same page.
Ubisoft's reputation is kind of in the gutter. XDefiant, their supposed COD killer, is also seeing a high percentage of dislikes on their recent trailer.
I kind of hate COD, and I would like for it to die because it'd be funny, but XDefiant, like, who wrote this name, bro? Who wrote this? Also, honestly, I think Activision is less evil than Ubisoft. That might be a controversial thing to say, but Ubisoft is far and away my least favorite developers. By far. By far. EA? No, sir. Ubisoft.
Star Wars Outlaws, same deal. Skull and Bones, the first quadruple A game. And your ship has a stamina bar. So the dislikes on the Shadows trailer is not like an isolated incident.
Normally, I don't like when people will dislike bomb all over the place, but given the fact that it's Ubisoft, I'll co-sign. I'll be down with it.
People aren't just upset with what they saw in the trailer, they're upset with everything Ubisoft has been doing recently.
Yeah.
Like taking down online servers for this old racing game called The Crew. Instead of allowing fans to host their own fan servers and keep playing the game, Ubisoft is instead removing it from people's digital libraries.
How evil is that? How can anyone respect this company? And then you have like this CEO or whoever saying gamers need to get comfortable with not owning their games,
Rendering physical copies unplayable. Yes, they certainly do want us to be comfortable with not owning our games. Oh, and by the way, you need an internet connection to play Shadows. Oh shit, wait, tell them they only need an internet connection to install the game. Crisis averted. This is just the tip of the iceberg. The second reason gamers are upset is Ubisoft's pricing model. Pre-order
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed Shadows coming November 15th. Excuse me, have you pre-ordered yet? Pre-order now. Watch this.
Deja vu.
Don't forget to pre-order.
The last time we saw this pre-order spiel, it was on Star Wars Outlaws. That's why it seems so familiar. 2 Ubisoft games, by the way.
3 days early by pre-ordering any premium edition. What the fuck is Amazon Luna? Max with Silicon? What the fuck? Pre-order now to get a bonus quest. Discover the gold and ultimate editions. Discover them. And pre-order. Learn more about how you can fucking pre-order it 100 times. Statue's kind of sick though. Yeah, so for the same reasons people were upset with Outlaws, this pricing model is just not cool.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, honestly, let me go back so that's not... There we go. So the season pass, the pre-order bonus, etc., etc., it's locking day one content behind a paywall. Day one DLC has always been scummy. It will always be scummy. Come on. Do better. And honestly, I think these are priced so egregiously just to push people to get, Ubisoft Plus. And then maybe people just forget to cancel a subscription. I know I've forgotten to cancel a Game Pass subscriptions before. I hate when I do it, but I do forget. Even when I put a reminder in my phone, it happens. And maybe some people will just possibly find value and they'll just keep Ubisoft Plus. So I do think that's why these are priced the way they are. And like I said, I know there's a season pass. I get it, but this is a single player game, so having a season pass in it is kind of ridiculous to begin with. But, I digress. But yeah, this is far worse than there being a black samurai, in my opinion, which is still stupid, don't get me wrong. But hey.
It's not very Bushido of you, Ubisoft. Now, apparently Shadows is like the #1 pre-order game in Japan right now. I don't know how true this is, but if so...
Yeah, speaking of like the Yasuke wars on Wikipedia, there's also wars of people claiming Japan's very, very upset that Yasuke is the main character. Then the other side is claiming Japan is beyond happy that Yasuke is the main character. I think it's probably somewhere in the middle, you know. I'd say there's a 50-50 split, most likely. With that said, I wouldn't be surprised if Assassin's Creed Shadows is the most pre-ordered game in Japan. Like, that's cool, you know? Assassin's Creed is finally in Japan. I'm sure the Japanese dudes want it even more than the American dudes, though the American dudes are, you know, massive weebs. You know the meme.
This is why we can't have nice things. Remember, no pre-orders. There's literally no...
True, especially if you're on PC. Like, if you're not getting a physical copy, do not ever pre-order. In my opinion, you're free to do whatever you want. If you have really slow internet and you want to preload, then go ahead.
...into it anymore. And also, like, a season's pass for a single-player game.
Yeah.
Are we in 2016 right now?
And I don't know if you saw that, but it said extra mission at launch, which is what I was saying before. Like, day one DLC is not cool.
What's happening? We're really going back to this? I can't think of any other game that still does a season pass.
I mean, are we not counting like Fortnite, or is that a battle pass? Is that different? Maybe he just means a single player game. Yeah, first single player game, I can't think of a season pass either. If you guys know, do tell. But I got nothing.
I feel like there's something inherently scummy with
maybe Redfall. Did Redfall have a season pass? I know they were trying to make that live service somehow.
Opening up purchases for a game without showing any actual gameplay.
Well, I mean, it's Assassin's Creed. With all due respect, we know what the gameplay is. We know what it looks like.
So yeah, both Outlaws and Shadows are monetized in the exact same way. And,
and like I said, it's to push people to get Ubisoft Plus.
Nobody really likes it. Next reason, people are kind of bored of Ubisoft's game design. The huge open world filled with the same copy and pasted missions and side quests with tons of busy work and tedious grinding. Ubisoft's game and open world design is just too safe and by the books, and they have a bad habit of stretching out their titles to be way longer than they should.
Yeah.
So this does kind of tie in with
they fell into like the open world trap, you know, bigger game equals better game. I firmly disagree. If you watch some of the videos on my channel, you know that I'm a linear Andy over here. I loved Assassin's Creed 1, 2, Brotherhood, 3, all bangers. After that, kind of not into it too much. I didn't play Black Flag, but I heard Black Flag was very good. And I forgot to mention this in the beginning, but I did say like all Assassin's Creed, the main character is from where it's located. And I know someone is going to say, actually, in Black Flag, it's not the case. My answer to that is, believe it or not, Welsh pirates were very abundant in the Caribbean at that time. So that still tracks. That makes sense. You know, Yasuke is literally the only, or one of the only, very few black dudes in Japan at the time, and they chose to showcase him. That's what makes a difference. That's what makes it different, excuse me. Once again, you can disagree with me. That's okay. People can have different opinions on things. But I just want to get that out there.
Reputation thing, but the earlier Assassin's Creed games took place in cities that were
Yeah,
more
this was perfect. This was optimal. I miss these games.
condensed, which made a lot of the activities and the story, you know, closer together. A lot of it was still copy and pasted, but you didn't have to run so far to get to the next side objective or whatever. With their more recent titles, Ubisoft has been stretching out the runtime and the size of the open world, and it's not really making the games any better. It's the same reason a lot of people prefer Banjo-Kazooie over Tooie. I myself am a hardcore Tooie stan.
Dude, I love both, and I love DK64, which gets a lot of beef for being a collectathon. Possibly the most collectibles in any game ever still, which is crazy considering that was N64.
But I get it. So fans are likely worried that this game will follow the same generic formula. I hope not. Now, with all this in mind, you can see how there's automatically a bias against whatever Ubisoft releases, because people simply do not have faith in them. They have a long
Rightfully so.
history of anti-consumer practices and absurd monetization. But let's move on to the more controversial angle. Are gamers mad because Yasuke is black?
Some are. I already said my piece on it in the beginning. Maybe I should have waited for here, but you know what I said.
Did you say black? You called him black?
He is black.
Oh, he said it again.
Speaking of this, I do think that's so funny when like people are terrified to call someone black. Like they'll call a British dude African American. Like no, man. Idris Elba is not an African American. You can call him black. It's okay. Head pat.
Yeah, for some people, they're happily taking this opportunity to post racism. I mean, why wouldn't they? If you're a racist, you just got some great content to work with.
Come on.
We're finally going to Japan,
Oh, I saw this video. This is pretty funny.
and I still gotta see you niggas. What?
The problem with trying to figure out who's trying to make a genuine point and who's just like taking this opportunity to be racist, it's like a guessing game, you know? Assassin's Creed Shadows, George Floyd's
Well-
skin. Yeah, that's enough talking about that.
Well-
Hopefully, this is only a small part of why gamers are mad. So there's two protagonists, the first one being Yasuke, who is a historical figure, a black samurai. Allegedly, the first black samurai in Japan, the first foreign samurai, in fact. And the other is Nawe, a shinobi assassin.
For the record, I'm no like Japanese history wizard. I know I'm a VTuber, but I'm actually not that big of a weeb. I don't dabble that much in anime or Japanese history, so I don't really know the history or significance of Yasuke. Like I said, I tried to look into it the first time I made a video on this, but the wiki was just getting edited every other second, so, you know.
Now, Yasuke has been portrayed in a bunch of other media, but I've never seen any of these other shows or games generate even a fraction of the controversy that Shadows has. Why not star a native Japanese man? This is a good question, and one certainly worth lifting an eyebrow. To my knowledge, most Assassin's Creed games star a fictional protagonist native to the setting.
That's what I was
with any
saying.
real historical figures being side characters or villains.
Yeah, you know, like Leonardo da Vinci and whatnot. I think it's cool how they had it set like that. But I guess Yasuke, since no one really knows what the hell he is, I know there's both sides arguing, he was a slave, he was a very highly coveted samurai. You know, you got the two sides arguing. But I guess that makes it kind of easier to use a real character from history as the main character, because it sort of is a blank slate since not much is known about him. You know what I mean? Like, you can't make Leonardo da Vinci the main character because a lot is known about him. So in that case, I understand that. I get that part.
And if I'm not mistaken, Shadows is the first game where you both play as a historical figure
Yeah.
and it's someone not native to the setting.
Oh, look, you see, Edward from Black Flag was also non-native. Look, he had to put a disclaimer too, because he knows that you guys are lurking. Actual, we see you guys. But like I just said, Edward is a Welsh pirate. Many pirates in the Caribbean were Welsh. It is what it is. Look into it. It makes sense for him to be there. And I know Yasuke was a real person, so you can say it makes sense for him to be there too. But like I said, dude, the only black samurai, that's who the main character is. Okay. I don't know if there were ever any Asian people or specifically Japanese people in Africa, but if there was, and if there is a historical figure, like I said, you know Assassin's Creed is not making him the main character in an African Assassin's Creed. You know it, I know it.
These 2 points have made some gamers suspicious of Ubisoft's
Yeah.
intentions.
That's what I'm saying. I'm suspicious of the intentions. I do not trust these guys. I never will.
They really choosing Yasuke because it's the best decision creatively and narratively? Personally, I think the idea has a lot of potential, but we'll talk about that later. The point is that some people see this as like a diversity checklist or something along those lines. However, like I said, Nawe is also native to Japan. So there is a native character that you can play as, but unfortunately, she's a woman. And women aren't real people, right, fellows? Yeah, this is something that a lot of the culture warriors online are not highlighting, that there is a native protagonist. So I personally don't see it as such a
I highlighted it, therefore I'm not a culture warrior. Shake my hand.
huge issue. I think all of the other pricing stuff and everything
Yeah.
else that's wrong with Ubisoft is much more important to me as a gamer and
That's
not
basically what I was saying in the beginning as well. I agree.
a culture warrior. Now, some folk will say, well, why not just go play Ghost of Tsushima or Sekiro or any other of the hundreds of Japanese samurai games that star a Japanese guy? Well, I think Assassin's Creed fans just want that same thing for their own franchise.
Yeah, a lot of people were saying that in the comments of my original video. I thought that was very, very bizarre. Like, Assassin's Creed predates both of those by quite a bit. And we've been asking for a Japanese Assassin's Creed quite a bit, you know, before those ever came out. And Ubisoft, I'm pretty sure they're big enough to not be scared. Oh no, they're copying Ghost of Tsushima. Brother, Assassin's Creed did it first. It's placed in Japan. It makes sense for it to be a Japanese guy. So I don't think that's why they went with Yasuke. And like he's saying, I don't think there's anything wrong with someone wishing they could, play an Assassin's Creed game, not with a historical figure, with like a normal Japanese dude. I know Naoe is there, but you get what I'm saying.
For some people, I don't think it's really all that complicated. But then again, Ubisoft games are already too safe, so would it be too safe of a direction to just star a random Japanese guy? I don't know. People see Yasuke as evidence that there's an agenda being pushed, and while that could very well be the case, a lot of the people saying this right now are already saying this about 100 different things. Everything else has to be pushing an agenda.
Like that's part of the issue. Like you have some psychopaths, such as Synthetic Man, flipping out, crying, saying Fallout TV show is woke, or pushing an agenda. And, it's hard to take him seriously, right? But then he'll say Assassin's Creed Shadows is also woke and pushing an agenda, which is more correct than saying Fallout is, at least in my opinion. But classic story, The Boy Who Cried Wolf. You know what I mean? So when you have someone who's actually reasonable pointing out, hey man, Ubisoft is known to be a little bit sus. They're on record saying they will never have just a female main character because that won't sell. They're known to pander. When you have someone reasonable saying that, they don't listen. They point fingers and they call you racist no matter what.
When your content is based around that. For me, whether or not it's woke or pushing an agenda is going to come down to the writing and the storytelling, as it always does. I think there's a really good example in the Battlefield 5 trailer where it's much more clear that something else was going on. It's actually the perfect counterpoint. Battlefield 5 is set in World War II and you want to have female representation? Lucky for you, there were like 1 million female snipers in the Russian army. But no, have this like weird British lady with a robot claw and who keeps dying and coming back, and it's... So I think Battlefield 5 is more of a relevant example where you can extrapolate some kind of agenda being pushed. But you also have to remember that when Battlefield 1 was announced and people saw the cover art, they also had the same complaint. Why is there a black guy on the cover? Then the game came out and it was a fucking masterpiece and nobody ever talked about that again. Something similar kind of happened with the Fallout show. There was...
What do you know? Speak of the devil.
This initial reaction to the trailer where they're like, oh, it's woke. Fallout's been destroyed. Oh, it's terrible. And then the show came out and most people loved it. And most of the complaints people had with the show revolved around the lore and how that was handled. So I think a lot of the people calling it woke and all that are just jumping to conclusions because that's kind of what their content revolves around. The next reason gamers are upset: Assassin's Creed Shadows isn't historically accurate. If you said something...
All right, well, this is a stupid take. I don't know how many... Listen, there's more racist gamers than gamers mad that it's not historically accurate, all right? With all due respect, bro, you were fist fighting popes, man. Assassin's Creed has never been historically accurate. It's very sci-fi based. There's been historical characters, like Leonardo da Vinci, as I was saying, but it's not historically accurate. You're fighting like weird mythical beasts in the latest ones. And Yasuke is a real character from history, sure. But like I was saying, very, very little is known about him. So in that scenario, if you're going to make a historical figure a main character, that's a good choice, I suppose, because there are a lot of liberties you can take with him. Especially since, the wiki is just getting changed every single minute of every single hour, so
something along
no one can fact check you.
These lines and you genuinely believe this statement, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt right now, and I think you're mistaking historical fiction for historical accuracy. They are not the same thing.
I hope that's what they're doing.
Going back to Battlefield 1 and 5, historical accuracy is, okay, we've got this game set in World War II. Are we trying to make it feel like World War II? Are we trying to make it feel like World War I? The historical accuracy conversation is usually reserved for games that are like recreating battles that actually happened. Are the dates of certain invasions in World at War correct? Was there actually a battle on Peleliu?
Man, World at War was such a good game. I miss that game.
That's historical accuracy. Historical fiction is the story inserted into that setting. Like I said, when you're watching a trailer for a World War II game and some cyborg lady shows up, your brain is like, that shouldn't be there. And you feel weird. This argument does not apply to Assassin's Creed at all.
Yeah.
In fact, that's like the entire point of the Assassin's Creed stories, is that This is the history you haven't been told. Here's the real truth. And I've always felt Assassin's Creed was cathartic because you get to indulge in a conspiracy theory and see it presented to you. You get to watch it play out in the past and in the present. So Assassin's Creed not being historically accurate is like the fucking foundation of their story. It's like the premise of the entire franchise.
True.
So if you're complaining about
Like
historical...
I said, this one I'm hoping is just like, cherry picked off Twitter, because there are a lot of insane people on Twitter, as we've established many times on this channel. I hope not too many people are using this as reasoning. There's a lot of reasons to hate Ubisoft. There's a lot of reasons to hate Assassin's Creed. This is not one.
accuracy. Still, at this point, it's hard to believe you have any experience with this franchise. Right, here's another example. JFK getting assassinated. That's a historical event. The way Umbrella Academy handles that historical event is historical fiction. It's taking this thing that happened or existed and creating your own story involved with it. Therefore, Yasuke not being historically accurate as a samurai is completely irrelevant because this is a fictional story in a real setting. It's historical fiction. Now, if we get a new trailer for Shadows and we see like samurais with jetpacks, you guys are going to have a real argument to make. But wait a minute. Samurais with jetpacks? Has it been done before?
It has to
Oh
be.
my god, it has. Another reason gamers are upset with Shadows. Yasuke wasn't a samurai. This is pretty
All
much
right, we're getting on to the Wiki Wars.
arguing semantics because we just established that Assassin's Creed is built on historical fiction, not historical accuracy. So whether or not he was is
That's why it doesn't matter in the end, because Assassin's Creed is not real. And like I was saying, so much is unknown of him that just make the character whatever the hell you want, I guess. Just don't present it as fact. And I don't think Assassin's Creed is presenting it as fact. We'll see when the game comes out, right?
completely irrelevant. Personally, because his origins and his early life and even his original name are still unknown to us.
Yeah, from my understanding, his like departure from Japan is also unknown. Like some people are saying he was only there for 15 months and then he like got injured and just disappeared.
A narrative perspective, this opens a lot of doors creatively because you can come up with your own story about his life. Whether it's done well or not, and it's written in a compelling, interesting way, remains to be seen. And that will be the determining factor on whether or not we look back on this game as something that pushed an agenda and fucking sucked because it compromised its writing for that, or a story that was genuinely interesting because it presented this historical figure and wrote a story around them within the setting of Assassin's Creed. Also, the thing about Yasuke, again, because he's very mysterious, is that he could have also worked as a side character or even a villain. When I saw this shot of him in the trailer,
Yeah, but if he's a villain, then it's racist to the other side. You can't please everyone. But he has been a villain in what's it called, man? Neo? One of them. Neo 1, Neo 2, one of them. He's a villain there.
Flames, I was like,
And he's an
yep.
awesome fighting game character in Strive.
Oh, he would be a pretty fucking cool villain, just visually, like the one black samurai. But then again, people might criticize Ubisoft and be like, oh,
Yeah.
just the one
You see, there you go.
black samurai, you decide to make a villain. So you're gonna have people talking shit no matter what. At the end of the day, what matters most is if the game is good, right? And if it's monetized properly. You know, it would
Well,
be really
we know it's not monetized properly. It could be good. I don't know, man. Like I said, I haven't been dabbling in Assassin's Creed in a long time, and I don't want to give Ubisoft money, but I have wanted a Japanese Assassin's Creed for very, very long. If it hits the bargain bin, we might do it. Low chance, but we might do it.
funny though is to make an Assassin's Creed game where it's set in a certain place and nobody is native. Like if they were all Mexican sombrero wearing samurais, that would be awesome. I want to see a game where everyone is just an unapologetic stereotype. So when it comes down to it, there are some valid questions to ask about Ubisoft's intentions, but I think the debate around whether Yasuke was a samurai, whether they're putting in a black samurai to get, better DEI points or whatever, I think that conversation is not as important as how they're monetizing it and what else Ubisoft is doing and all the anti-consumer stuff. Remember guys, no pre-orders, okay? But what do you think? Do you agree or disagree with what I had to say?
I
Let me know
agree,
your thoughts and opinions in
Actman. W video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. But thanks for watching another Assassin's Creed Shadows video. And damn, this is actually kind of high for Actman. He usually has far less dislikes. This is such a polarizing game for some people. Anyway, GG's handshakes. See you around.